right, so things need an update, right? The dates have shifted a tiny bit, and there are some new links so that you folks who are currently using the Google G Suite free domain email service, it's ending, but a couple of little things have changed it. I want to make sure you got the most recent information and links. So let's get this started, shall we? Hello, hello, and welcome. Okay, so let's just roll the clock back a little bit here. To be honest, I didn't think I was going to be doing this show because I did not really expect Google to push the date out at all for everybody, but life is full of surprises, and this is one of them. So, by now, you probably heard, and that's probably why you're here, right? Google is discontinuing the free Google Workspace accounts. Basically, they were G Suite legacy users who were using it for domain emails. And this was, they did it for expecting like small businesses to use it, but families found it very useful. Organizations found it very useful. And this is causing a problem because we're now, these people have been using this thing for a very long time. And now you're asking people to start paying for it, which is not completely unreasonable perhaps, but it may not be feasible for these folks. Or you're asking them to move, which from a technical standpoint is not an easy thing to do. And these folks may not be up to that task or have somebody available to help them. So it is a big deal. And so, yes, it has caused quite a bit of an uproar. Now, this is not anybody who has recently signed up for G Suite. This is a very small group of people from many years ago when G Suite was first starting to come together that were able to jump in and use it. I think they actually stopped offering it. I should have grabbed the dates. They stopped offering new memberships into it, I think around 2008, 2010, somewhere around there, maybe 2012. Anyway, a long time ago. But people have been using it. They've been relying on it. That's how families are staying connected. It's how organizations are staying connected. And so this is kind of a big deal. So the short version of it is if you want to keep it, you can, but you have to start paying for it. And in a second, I will show you what those numbers look like. But for those who need it or want it to stay no cost, there's a small chance you might be able to do that. And I'm going to show you how the steps you need to take because you need to take those steps quickly. So let's just talk about what's actually changed here. So originally the date was, I think, May 1st. They have pushed the date out to June 1st. So like I said, they have expanded it, but they haven't expanded it a lot. But something's better than nothing. And there are some options, but frankly, okay, so this started in January of this year, 2022. We don't have answers to a lot of stuff yet. And frankly, that's a little bit inexcusable in my book. It's completely inexcusable. It was inexcusable in January. It's more inexcusable now. We should have a plan here, right? There should be a plan available, and the details should be available, and it should be very clear. But it's not yet. So that's why I wanted to make sure you had the most up-to-date information. And more importantly, you had the most up-to-date links, which, by the way, are in the description, because those are your keys to success if you are one of the people who need to deal with this. And really, it needs to be whoever set up your G Suite domain emails. And if that person is no longer willing to do it or no longer available to do it, if somebody doesn't step up to take care of it, then you're also in a bit of a bind at the moment. Okay, so I kind of touched on the new dates. Originally, if you go back, if you watched my previous video on this, and I can put that here, but we'll have the up-to-date links in this one. There was a survey form that you needed to fill out if you wanted to stay on the wait list in order to possibly keep going free. That form is gone. Now you need to contact support. And the way to do that they want you to use is by going into the admin control and going through a process in there, which I will show you. There are a couple of other options for those of you who maybe don't have the admin person, or maybe the admin person doesn't even remember how to get in there. That's a very real thing. So we will get into that. So let me show you the pages that we're talking about. Hello, there we go. Okay. So I just highlighted some stuff. You're not going to see them highlighted. That's a tool that I use. So the first link that I suggest you go look at is the upgrade from G Suite Legacy Free Edition. This is right now your go-to place for information on this. So as I said, it's no longer be free as of June 1st. Now, the reason I highlighted this is because there's other dates in here, and I've already heard people misunderstanding what's going on. So as of June 1st, it's not going to be free anymore. They want you to start paying, but there is a window after June 1st before they will start automatically charging you. Now, that's also a little touchy thing here, because if there's not a valid credit card on the account, then they can't charge you, which is going to unlock other problems. So it's not free as of June 1st. If you are going to end up having to pay for it, they're not going to start billing you until August 1st. So there's still kind of a window there. It's a little fuzzy why that window exists, because if it's no longer free, I don't know if they're going to retroactively charge you for June and July. It's not clear. Okay, so yes, and so if you don't have payment set up on the account, what's going to happen is, as of August 1st, August 2nd, then they're going to start suspending accounts, which means you won't be able to use those email addresses. You won't be able to get in and, read them, send emails, maybe even access the admin console. They're not super clear about that. After 60 days in suspension, so that if this has changed since I read it earlier. So they're going to suspend it, but then they're going to give you another 60 days. And after that point, you won't be able to access things like Gmail, Calendar, Meet. And if you enter a form of payment, you will be able to restore your suspended account, but there will be a short window for that. They're not going to let that go on forever. Now, just to clear up some things, so there's some terminology in here I need you to be clear about. So when they talk about core services, okay, that's probably the stuff that you're actually interested in. And it's probably Gmail is probably the big thing, right? Because the folks, the families, the organizations, etc., who were using the G Suite domain email through Gmail, that's primarily what they were using it for. Maybe you were using Meet and Calendar also to help organize things, so it's important. But understand that that's what they're talking about, and that's what you're going to lose if you don't take steps, either paying or getting on the free train. And I will say the free train is still not clearly defined. If you pay, you're golden. It's just you'll just keep rolling forward as long as you keep paying. Then they talk about additional services that you will still be able to use those email addresses for. That is things like being able to log into Blogger or YouTube, things like that. So what they're saying, and this has been consistent from the beginning, even if you end up suspended and not able to access your email or the calendar or whatever, you will still be able to use that email address to log into things. So if you have used it to log into services online, websites online, all that kind of thing, you will still be able to use it for that. However, and that's not this, what I'm about to tell you is not mentioned anywhere, but this is what I need you to be aware of. That all sounds good, except for the fact that if for whatever reason you forget your password, the website or the tool or the service you're using wants to validate that you are who you are, they're going to send an email back to your account that you're not going to be able to access. So, okay, nifty, I can still use my email address to sign in, but I don't have access to that email. So if I need to change my password, which a lot of sites require you to do on a regular basis, you request a password fix, a password reset, or for any reason that company or service requires you to click on something or whatever, and they're sending you an email to do that, you're out of luck because you can't do that. So this is one of those cases where it's like, okay, yes, it's affecting the people who have the email and rely on it, which will have an impact on families and organizations and all that who may not have technical resources to help them through this, which is why I'm doing this. But it goes beyond that, because if those people then who have been relying on this for well over a decade, now it's inside of their whole online ecosystem, and they're relying on that in order to get into their products and services and websites and so on. Well, now this problem just got a whole lot bigger, right? The tentacles on this have just gone all throughout the web, and this is a big problem. So it is really important that you no longer wait. It's really important that you verify if your family is using some sort of you at your domain and accessing your emails through Google, that you find out where you stand on this, and what your plan is going to be, because otherwise, not just your inner, group communications, but people's daily lives are going to be impacted. And that makes me a little angry that they are not being clear about that, and that they are not better prepared to help people transition off if that's what they want to do. I'm trying not to rant about this, but I'm getting really ranty about it because the clock is ticking. And okay, nifty, they gave everybody an extra 30 days, but there's still a lot of work to be done here. And a lot of it is going to rely on you interacting with Google. And while I am a fan of the company in general, contacting them and getting a response and working with them directly is not the fastest thing on the planet. So make sure that you get this ball rolling now. All right, so let's switch back. Whoops, I keep hitting that button too hard. Not that one. Go away. There we go. Okay. So that is super, super important. The other thing, I mean, obviously you're going to want to read this whole page. This is definitely your starting point. But the other thing I wanted to point out is, okay, so there's a section about, is there a no cost option if I don't want to upgrade? And there is, but you need to join a waiting list because they haven't really defined what it is. And they seem to be figuring this out on a case by case basis. So what the way that they want you to do this, and there is a link here that you can use, but they want you to go into the admin console for your group. Now, the only person who can get into that is the person who is the admin, which is usually the person who set it up. So again, if you are that person and you don't remember how to get there, try clicking on the link and going through that process. If the person who set it up for you and your group is no longer available, won't do it, whatever the reason is, somebody is going to need to step up in order to deal with this. And that is not the easiest process on the planet, but they do at least address it in this document. So the idea is that you're going to go to the admin console, and you have to request access to the waiting list. And the way that you do that is through the online help option inside of the console. Now, I'll come back to this in a second. If the person is not available anymore, they do talk about it down here, okay? So if the administrator left the company, quote unquote, left the family, doesn't want to deal with it anymore, somebody else can become the admin, but there's a form they have to fill out. So that link is also in here. And you're going to have to do some techie stuff in order to prove that you have the rights in order to access this. And frankly, this is a little complex, but basically what it is you're going to have to go into your domain name and make some changes that they're going to tell you to make so that they can verify that, yes, you have access. Don't be too scared about this. They should hopefully explain the process to you. But if not, if you search online, they will, there's lots of sites that will walk you through it. You can also feel free to reach out if you get stuck, and I will do my best to help you. Make sure you give me an email address so I can get in touch with you. And maybe not the Gmail one if you have another one, but if that's all you have, let's try that. Okay. So, no, not that. Okay, so I wanted to get that covered because I know that there's a lot of people that don't have the admin available anymore for different reasons. Now, the other group of people who are very interested in what's going on here are the people who maybe have already upgraded and started paying for Google Workspace, but they're like, well, wait, I only did that because I thought that there really wasn't going to be a free option, and I would like to be on the free option. So again, you can contact support, and that link is here, and I'll show you that page in a minute. In order to do it, you can probably do it through your admin panel again, or you can try one of the alternate methods of contacting them, which I will show you in a minute. I don't know how easy they're going to make this process. Again, you see, it's one sentence. There's not a whole lot of information here, but it is what it is. Now, again, I just want to remind you, in case you missed it when I started, there was previously a form, and that link was in the earlier video. I have to go and mark that as depreciated. that form doesn't work anymore. So now the only way to get yourself on the waiting list is to go through this process with the workspace. Is it workspace support? It's probably workspace for support in order to get on that list. Because you want to be on that list, regardless of whatever choice you end up making down the road. You want to at least get on that list because that opens up the door and the timeline's a little bit more for you. Okay. Wow, that key is really touchy today. All right, so let's take a look at some of the other things. So this is about the other services. So like I said, there's core services. That's the phrase that they use when they're talking about things like Gmail and Meet and Calendar and that type of thing. The additional services is accessing things like YouTube, Blogger, Google Analytics, that kind of thing. And really, that's just being able to log into those things and be able to use them. The pricing, and again, this is not an option for everybody, but the important thing to look at here is that these numbers are per user per month, right? Because when you first look at it, you're like, oh, okay, $6, I'll cover $6 a month. If you have 10 people using it, that's $60, right? And that's just for the basic level. The most popular is the business standard, which gives you some cloud storage, which is nice, but still, now we're talking $120 a year. So it's per month per user, which for a service that was free for these families and organizations and all that kind of stuff, that's not free and that may not be viable for you. So be aware of it. Like, this does talk about it. Again, not the clearest page on the planet. I think that they should have made an effort to make this much, much clearer. But it does give you a certain level of detail. I wanted to see more detail around the email stuff, but they didn't really provide that. So there's that. There's also, and like I said, all these links are in the description. There's an FAQ document, which is the type of thing that will get updated on a regular basis. So this is more generic about Google Workspace and what's included in that type of thing, but that might be handy. And you can filter it by turning on the things that you want the information about. So I included that just so it was here for you, but just know that this is not specifically targeted at the people who are transitioning from the legacy free into paid. And then there's this, which I think is really important. So like I said, they want you to do this from inside of the admin console, right? Which is this piece here. They do try to explain it at least. Don't pay attention to that because actually this doesn't apply to me because my account doesn't have that. But you do want to go into your console and do it that way. It is, if you're logged in, it's aware, so it will make it a little easier for you to get to things. But the other thing here is that it does give you another way to access if you really need to. So I would say use all of the options to make sure that you're in there. Make sure you're getting, some sort of response from them. And don't underestimate the power of the occasional social media reach out. If you don't have a Twitter account, it's a good time to create one because that is a really good way to get people's attention sometimes. So you might want to seriously consider that, but they do give you some other options. So I wanted to make sure that you had that available to you. All right, let me see. What else did I need to tell you to make sure that this is clear? Oh, okay. So the other thing is, so like I said, it's June 1st is the cutoff date. Then they are going to give you 30 days to evaluate the options that they've given you. So that's July 1st. But then it's August 1st when they're going to start looking at suspensions and or charges. So that's your timeline coming up. Like I said, you do need to look at this in the bigger picture. It is obviously your email, your calendars, all that kind of stuff, but also how all of your members are using their email in order to access other things, because there are services, there are things where it's a bigger deal, like, let's say their bank, right? Or their doctor's office, records or whatever. There are services and tools and websites out there that it is a bigger impact if they can't access them, as opposed to if, it's just a fun site that they visit once in a while, that it's really easy to just create another account. So you're going to want to go through all this process. If nothing else, while you're figuring it out, make sure you get on the wait list, and make sure you verify that they've added you to the wait list, just to make sure. Doesn't hurt to be paranoid in this case at all. Trust me, this is not something to mess around with, because when they close the doors, they will close the doors. All right, so I think I have given you everything that I can as of right now. The big news being that they've just changed, and announced the change dates. Yeah, Gamer. Well, so Gamer, this is only for the people who are currently in the legacy G Suite free domain email bucket. Okay, so this is not, this is not hitting everybody. It's not hitting like millions of people, which is probably part of the problem of why they don't have all the answers. What are we're 4 months into the year, and they've been planning this for a long time. So in January, I was, disappointed. Now I'm getting angry that they don't have clear information out there and clear steps. So you may or may not be impacted by this depending on what you're using of theirs, but just for clarification. All right. So as always, if you have questions, if you want to reach out, if you have additional information you want to share, you can go ahead and put that in the comments, wherever you are, whatever platform you're on, or you can reach out to yourtechcoach.net. I will be, happy to help you in whatever way I can. Just understand, I have no insider knowledge. I have no insider contacts at Google. So going through the process is what you're going to need to do. I can try to help you with links and that type of thing, but there's not a whole lot I can do as far as actually fixing things for you. And you're going to need to either come up with a plan to transition off, or get on the free, or figure out how you're going to pay for it, because that's really the 3 options that you have at this point. All right. Gamer says, cool, thanks for that. You don't have a workspace anything. Okay, so that's good. Yeah, I did finally sign up for Workplace, as you saw, for this account, just because I wanted to see what it was like to be in the admin panel and kind of get familiar with it in case questions come up. At least now I have a place I can go in, but it's not exactly an apples to apples kind of thing, because I never had the free version, the legacy version. I only have the current version. So it's not perfect, but at least it gives me some insight into how they're doing things there, because the dog doesn't need an email address. All right, everybody. I hope that this was helpful. I hope that the additional time is going to be helpful for you, and that you are able to get the information you need as quickly as possible. Just a reminder. Whoops, that's not the one I wanted. There we go. I do have the free ebook available. So if you are ever stuck for content ideas, I certainly get stuck. That's why I created this. So it's a list of 130 content ideas. They're not tech specific. They're just generic. And basically what I do is I printed it out and I lay it out and I close my eyes and I point at something that becomes my topic. It saves so much time when you're having that mental block. So feel free to reach out and get it. It's yourtechcoach.net/content ideas. No charge, just it's out there to help, because anything we can do to reduce stress just a little bit, I'm counting as a good thing these days. Thank you, John. That's very kind of you. Hey, look, I actually got a Facebook comment while the show was still live. Usually they show up 20 minutes after the show. Thank you. I'm glad you found it helpful. It is, it's something I just created for myself, and then found other people were finding it useful that I had loaned it out to. So now it's there for everybody. Have at it. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for cruising by. I am here every week, Thursdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. I always bring a topic. You are always welcome to come and bring other questions, ideas, whatever you've got. And if you can't join live, go ahead and put your comment or question into the comments, or you can go to the website and do it. I do check back in the comments as quickly as I can. It's just me, so it does take a little time sometimes. All right, so thank you all very much. Hopefully you legacy folks are able to keep your free. I hope that works out for more of you than not. And we will see you next week. Bye.